Have you ever wondered what's going on in the mind of a soldier when they have to sit there with their gun and look across and see a child or a woman and think that potentially that could be the soldier on the other side? Just like in the movie American Sniper, when the sniper looks through his rifle and sees the child running towards his group of men with that bomb stuffed in his shirt, that is what's going on over in the war. It's not just a movie fallacy or some kind of made-up thing. That is happening every day. And journalist Jethro Mullen, a writer for CNN, discusses this issue on how children are being used in military propaganda and military training for ISIS. Along with CNN, this has kind of started a chain reaction in different news companies. Along with CNN is The Guardian, The Huffington Post, The Independent, and Talk Radio. All of these have addressed this issue of child usage in the war and kind of gives the gruesome effects of what is happening to families that have involved themselves in this. Not only is it affecting them, but it's affecting our soldiers. And I think by releasing this information and an investigation on what is really happening, it has opened the eyes to these journalists to go find what the story is behind this. So Jethro Mullen, on March 11, 2015, wrote a story dealing with ISIS and what they're doing over in Iraq. So the article's name is ISIS Use of Children, Propaganda and Military Training. And a couple of the main points in this article really reached out to me. He talked about the children being used in the propaganda. So to help people get into this war, ISIS is showing pictures of children with guns and ammo and showing how they're shooting other people. And ISIS actually released a video showing a child shooting a man because he was an Israeli spy. And I think that is a huge turning point for us to see that not only are they using grown men to shoot other people, they're now starting to convince children the need to kill off Israelites and just soldiers in general if they don't follow the ISIS way. And another story tells of a family from Australia coming over to Syria, joining the ISIS terrorist group, and then a young child that was a part of this family actually beheaded a man and then held up the head of the guy to his father, and the father took a picture of his kid doing this and said, "That's my boy." So that was actually used as one of the main propaganda, showing a child with a beheaded man. And I think Jethro Mullen just really brought a new light to what is happening over in those states. And along with this, he talks about just kind of how if the movement is going anywhere, it's going to be in the younger generation's hands. And so these jihadists are training their children and the families around that they're capturing in kind of this brutal rule to kind of make it harder for soldiers to see who the real enemy is. So they actually call these young children the cubs of the caliphate, which that's really hard to imagine children being the ones that you're going to have to shoot in the war. But I think sometimes news like this really does stir up the emotions of the audience and help us make and move for change in our war, and just see that this is a bigger issue than just adults fighting adults or governments fighting governments. It's now becoming something that families are being a part of. And I think that's really what Jethro Mullen was able to do. I think he just shined a light on an area that we didn't fully understand or recognize as an issue until this article came out, or until American Sniper showed that scene. Because when people think of a war, they think of adults fighting adults. They don't really think of adults fighting children or women. And I think by posting this or releasing this article, it was able to get these other newspapers on board to kind of maybe investigate, see what's going on in our war, and not just looking at one side of the issue, but seeing that this needs to stop. And I think in the long run, it'll make a chain reaction, because it's only been like a day or two since this happened. So I think we'll see the long-term effect in probably a couple months or so to see what the real reaction to this article did for our country.